Hi everyone, I'm just going to quickly record a video introducing you to SPSS. Just so you know, first of all you need to download some data files from the data files and other resources link. Here's the data files for the textbooks, data files for Foundations of Stats. You also need to download a data file that will be your workbook for the unit. So that's under either learning materials, under assessments, week 2. You can also get the data files from the textbooks under week 2 of learning materials, or data files and other resources. So under week 2 of assessments, there's a video there to help you get started with your trial workbook. There's the data files for the workbook, so if you press on that, you will see a trial workbook for yourself here, trial.sav, and you will see there's trial.sav, and you will see your own personal workbook. You need to press on each of these and save them, and you'll be using those for all of your workbook assessments throughout the unit. So even though the different workbook assessments are called workbook 1, workbook 2, workbook 3, you're using the same workbook for each workbook assessment. So in week 2, once you've downloaded your workbook file, you then need to complete your workbook assessment, and the questions are under week 2. They are here, workbook 1, but we encourage you to do your trial workbook first. So there's your trial workbook 1 questions. So use your trial workbook to do trial workbook 1 first, and then use your actual workbook to do your actual workbook, which is usually assessed. Workbook 1's not assessed, but workbook 2 to 7 are assessed. There's also a PDF version of the questions that are in these links, so you can answer the questions with paper before you answer them electronically if you like, but you must submit electronic answers. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to do some basic analyses in SPSS. So once you've downloaded your data files and saved them somewhere, sorry about that, my children interrupted me for a moment. Okay, so you go to where you've saved your data files. In the appendix of your textbook, there's some information about how to run some analyses. So it starts off using this file called PC Own. So double click on that. And this is how you open a workbook file. These are workbooks. They're .sav files, so they're workbook files for SPSS. So one way of opening them is just double clicking on them, or you can actually open SPSS from your start menu or wherever you have it, and double click on SPSS, and then once SPSS is open, you can open the workbook file from in there. So, and this is what a workbook file looks like. You've got 2 views. You've got data view with your variables along the top, your cases down the side, and all of the data for each case in the rows. If you go into variable view, you've just got your variables in the rows instead. Here's all your variables, there's no cases, and then you can set your variables. You can set the type of variable. So for example, sex is a numeric variable. You can also make it a string variable if you want to, which is just using the alphabet instead of numbers. You can set it to each variable to more than 0 decimal places. You can, in statistics, a lot of figures are to 2 decimal places. You can name your variables, so you can put various things in here. So this one's got male equals 1. So if I remove that, I'll just show you. You put in 1 male, okay. Add an okay. You can set a missing value number, which we're not going to do. And most importantly, you can say the type of variable. So sex is a nominal variable. That means it's a categorical variable which has no order to it. So a categorical variable with order to it is an ordinal variable. So that's, for example, you might have income brackets, so low, medium and high income brackets. So it might be a categorical variable, but there's an order to the categories. With sex, there's no order to the categories. I think we'll all agree. So, or it's a continuous, or a metric variable is called scale. So there's scale, nominal or ordinal you can choose from when you name your variables. So if we go back into our cases view, you don't have to go back into your cases view, you can run analyses from any view, but we'll go up to analyses. So let's say we want to know, so a categorical variable is a variable which just has categories. There's so for example, types of car colours, red, blue, white, yellow is a type of car colour. And so if questions about categorical variables are to compare frequencies. So do people own more white cars than they own black cars? And you need to know what proportion of people own a black car compared to what proportion of people own a white car. A metric variable is a continuous variable where the interval between each, it's measured using numbers, and the interval between each unit of measurement is equal. So for example, height is measured in centimetres, so it's a number is used to measure it, and it's a continuous variable, and each interval, so the difference between 155 and 156 centimetres is the same as the difference between 160 and 161 centimetres. So that's a continuous variable. So the best way, and when you're comparing continuous, or they're called metric variables, you generally take the mean and compare the means. So that means when you have categorical and metric variables, there's two different ways of measuring, summarising the variables. So if you go up to the analyse, there's different ways of summarising the variables. So you can go to descriptive statistics. For a categorical variable, you'll go to frequencies to summarise the variable. So sex is a categorical variable. I think course is as well. It is, because you can see from that little symbol there means it's categorical or nominal, to use SPSS language. Pop them in there. You might like to choose a sort of type of chart. You can use a bar chart, a pie chart, or a histogram. So we'll look at a histogram, and you can choose whether the chart tells you frequencies or percentages. So you press OK, and then you have this other window called the output window, and all the data will appear in the output window. So you can see here it tells you the number of valid cases with data on sex and course, the number of missing cases with missing data on sex and course, of which there's none. And then you can see the frequency percentage and the valid percentage. So frequency, out of 103 participants, 45 are males, which is 43.7% males, 58 are females, which is 56.3% females. Okay, so we can see there's 56.3% females. And then same with business. So the valid percentage is the same as percentage because there's no missing cases. If there were missing cases, then this column here would include a percentage for missing cases, and together the percentage of males, females and missing cases would add up to 100%, whereas the valid percent would only be considering the valid cases. Okay, so you need to be aware of that, because sometimes you'll be asked a question. The question will be what proportion of what proportion of the valid cases were male. You need to know to look in this column, not this column. Okay. So there's the pie chart of male versus female and different courses: business, social science and applied science. If you double click on this, you can edit it. I'm not going to show you how to do that right now. Excuse me. So another way of excuse me. So then if you have metric variables, you go up to descriptives, and instead of going to analysed and descriptive statistics, but instead of going to frequencies, you go to descriptives. Actually, let's not do that. Go up to analysed, descriptives and explore, down to explore. So age is a metric variable, so you pop age in the dependent list area, and just go into plots, because there's always stem and leaf graph is selected as a default, whereas we'd like to select histogram. And press continue and press OK. And here you can see again there's the valid percent of valid cases. So there's 103 valid cases, 100% are valid, the percent of missing cases and the total. And then you've got the mean age is 22.83. Standard deviation is 7.5. So this sample has a mean age of 22, which is pretty young, or 23. And then you can go down and you can see the histogram here. So the histogram will graph the age of people in this data set, and you can see most of them are below 20, so it's not representative of the population. You can change this graph if you double click on this. The bars, you get this. So just double click on the graph and then double click on the bars, and you can ask for, say we want to know age with each year of age, so we can say that we want the interval width to be 1 year instead of 5 years or something. We can ask it to start from 0, and we can change the look of our histogram to reflect the level of information we want it to reflect. If you close it, it'll update the histogram in your outputs folder. So that's how to summarize categorical and metric variables. I'm just going to show you, I think I'll leave it at that for today actually. So thank you.